If you're watching this on YouTube and aren't subscribed, make sure and click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, like, comment, let us know what you think about the episode. There's a ton of viewers that we get who aren't subscribed. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out on the latest information, news about emissions, new parts, restorations, all the stories that we tell, make sure that you subscribe and turn on those notifications to be notified first. Today I'm going to be chatting with FASS Fuel Systems, having a Q&A session. There's a lot of questions that I've seen come in on YouTube, our Discord, on social media that I wanted to ask them about lift pump kits, their perception of the way that diesel performance is going, some questions that they get when they're at shows. They travel a lot and go to different events. I wanted to know what they're seeing out there. And then also, as we head into the fall and winter, there's a couple huge shows that are going on, and they've got some really cool products that are going to be releasing. So I'm looking forward to chatting with them today. Before we get to it, I want to give a shout out to Kershaw Knives. They've got a 40% off MSRP code for you. If you use code 40 TDP 2024 at kershaw.kaiusa.com, you get 40% off MSRP, which is a great way to save some money, get some cool gear if you're in the market for an EDC knife, something for hunting, fishing, around the job site, around the house. They've got you covered with a bunch of different choices for blade steel, blade shape, handle design, opening mechanisms, and their whole lineup is designed to meet a wide variety of budgets. So if you're in the market, head on over, use code 40TDP2024, and save some money, get some cool gear. All right, let's get to today's podcast with FASS Fuel Systems and asking them a bunch of questions about their products, the industry, racing, performance, and as we head into winter, some really cool products that they're going to be releasing. Hey guys, welcome back to the Diesel Podcast. I love chatting with you guys and learning more about FASS. Each episode we do, there's always a little something new I learn, or a lot new that I learn, or things that I didn't know. So I look forward to chatting with you guys today and just talking trucks, talking performance, events, a bunch of cool things you guys have going on.
Yeah, thanks for having us back. We always, we like talking fast. We like talking trucks, and yeah, it's always nice to have the engineering backup to make sure I don't say anything wrong.
I don't know about all that.
Last time we had chatted about the new kit that you guys have and combining the sump with the lift pump system itself, and there were a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily say questions that I saw from people, but they were excited about it. And I've seen some videos that you guys have done on social media. Have you guys had some more feedback from dealers, customers, like on the kits, and how you guys just bundled it all together to be able to save them some money and then get them, the system that they're looking for?
It's actually been extremely successful so far. People definitely saw the value and the savings, even more importantly, in combining those two kits. So that is, I couldn't tell you an exact percentage on, what kit versus what currently, but it has done very, very well.
Yeah. And to his point, we knew the value of it. And I think a lot of our customers and dealers, especially who have done, sump installs, they understand how much of a headache saver a sump can be.
Mm-hmm.
And being that, and I know we mentioned it before, but, being that so many people were picking up our titanium signature series systems and then doing the, add this item to the cart, add the sump to the cart on their way to check out. It was a no-brainer. And so we're very grateful that it's been successful, but it hasn't been surprising that it's been successful.
People are definitely happy that they're not throwing away a bunch of fittings that they paid for, just shoving them in a bin somewhere,
Yeah. Yeah, it just takes up space, and then you think, I'm never going to use this again. What am I going to do with it?
But I will keep it in my toolbox.
Yeah, it'll like permanently be there. One of the other things from the conversation about filtration, and I think I mentioned it when we were chatting last, was I always thought about water, but I didn't really think about air. I wanted to spend a little bit of time with both of you guys on that, and just how is that the most surprising thing that you guys find when you're talking with customers or truck owners, you're at events and you're at the fast booth, or you're making your way around, where they're kind of surprised by the air part, and they know about the water and they know they need to make more power, so they need more lift pump pressure, but the air is just kind of something new for them?
Yeah, it seems like people have a hard time understanding that there is air in fuel. Just naturally, with the fuel resting in a fuel tank, there is air dissolved in that fuel, right? When you're driving down the road and agitate it, you are just, the sloshing is pulling a bunch of entrained air down into the fuel, plus the engine, nice hot engine return. And then you're going to have the vapor also. And I will say, people have a hard time understanding it. Then we'll show them our working display where you can physically see the air getting removed. And it really, really clicks with them.
And the nice part about, I wouldn't say the nice part about air is, water and debris separation, that's more of a long-term thing, instead of, starting your trucking and noticing with your right foot, oh, I clearly have better water separation. I can feel it. That's not really how water and debris separation works. But the cool thing about air separation is that's a fairly immediate difference for most people, or a lot of people, in terms of throttle response and idle and all these other benefits that removing that, as Josh alluded to, removing the air is a much more tangible benefit right up front for a lot of our customers, which is kind of cool, because if you spend that much money and go to the effort of installing a fuel system, it's nice to be like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I always thought about it as a performance thing that I needed. And over the years, I've changed my perspective a bit to think about it as something you'd want to run on a bone stock truck. It doesn't have to just be performance. Do you see that or hear that as well, or that kind of change in the marketplace from, well, I know I need this, 165 or whatever size, capacity pump it is to make my 1,000 horsepower, 800 horsepower too. This is a daily driver, something I tow with, and I want to proactively avoid either situations with the injection pump, or I want more response or better mileage, or any of the other benefits that it provides.
Yeah, that has actually become a huge part of our market, is just the maintenance side, making sure you're not getting in that debris or water to your injection system. Like you said, completely stock trucks. People are towing campers, vacationing across the country. You don't want to be, sitting on the side of the road with a failed injection system because you passed a bunch of water or a bunch of debris. And to get the filtration that we provide, just gives them, it gives the end user a peace of mind of knowing that, hey, my injectors are getting supplied clean diesel fuel.
As diesel enthusiasts, you guys, you've been around the industry for a really long time, and I wanted to get your perspective on. I can't say it's a trend, but just something I've noticed over the last few years is, I think all the way back to, I think I really got into diesel trucks about 2007 or 8. It was all about power. And I don't know if that was just my age and I wanted power and I wanted to make a certain number and have fun with it. It seems to me like the maintenance and the longevity and durability has taken, I don't want to say taken over, but it just seems like that's what a lot of diesel truck owners are wanting, whether it's with their fuel system, whether it's with fluids, their transmissions, the upgrades that they're doing. Do you guys see that as well when you're at events talking with dealers, and then also personally yourselves with trucks that you either daily drive or build, or things you guys are doing?
Yeah. I'll say, going to a lot of events where we really do see the full range. You've got the hardcore, guy with a truck built for drag racing. He's making 1,700 horsepower, and he may not even think about filtration. It might not matter. That truck runs for 3.5 minutes at a time or whatever it is. And then you've got the other extreme at the same event, because most of the people attending, a diesel event they're there in their daily driver, they're there in their work truck. And we see it all. Now I will say the bulk of our customers, I'd say the vast majority,
Yeah,
are the guys who they may not even tune their trucks. They're working the truck, they're getting back and forth to work with it, they're taking their kids to school in it. It's the family vehicle, and they want peace of mind. They don't want to be staring down a $10,000 injection system replacement. They don't want to have to worry about it. So I would say the majority of our customers, and correct me if you feel differently, is they see it as the preventive maintenance item that it is, the investment that it is. But, and we're super grateful for the diesel performance crowd. We're part of it. We love it.
Yeah.
We definitely will always support that. But, surprising to most people is when they learn that the bulk of our systems, our solutions, our filtration is for stock daily driven trucks.
I've actually heard recently numerous people asking me about the system, and they will literally say, I just don't want to have to worry about the water and fuel, so that's a big part of it. And it's really funny, kind of going back, you said you got in the industry around 07, 08-ish, I believe.
Yeah.
That's like when I got in the industry, right? And it does seem like it has changed pretty substantially. I think, it seems like, at least in our area here and around Washington, Missouri, it seems like back in that time, there were a lot more people cranking the power up on work trucks, and I don't know if it was just because it was new and it was cool and it was fun and people just realized, wow, this diesel truck, I can make it quick and run really good. But it almost seems like people are kind of understanding, well, hey, if I have a ton of horsepower in this work truck, I'm going to have problems, breaking transmissions and stuff. And it seems like the hopped up work trucks have settled down, but we still do see a lot of very high horsepower trucks running around.
Yeah, and to Josh's point, I would argue that for the most part, certainly not every time, but when we start to see customer trucks over that 6, 7, 800 horsepower mark, not all the time, but a lot of the time, those are purpose-built toys. They've got their work truck that, maybe has our drop-in series system on it, but then the toy has our, a 240 or a 290 on it.
Yeah, it's kind of what I've noticed it well, but I haven't known if it was just because that's where my focus was. Like, I remember being on Cummins forum or some other place back then, and it was all the 800 horsepower, 900 horsepower truck. So that's what grabbed my attention. Or am I just getting older and I'm like turning into my dad, where I just want it to start and do those kind of things? Like, I don't know which one that it is, but from listener feedback, which I really like to pay attention to, I find them asking about durability, reliability, maintenance. They've spent a lot of money on a new truck. They want to give it its best chance to be successful, or they find something a few years older where they maybe want to avoid issues they had on something brand new that they just got out of, or something close to new. So I was curious what you guys see, because you're out there all over the country, going to events, talking with probably thousands of people a week, if that was kind of the same thing.
I will say and this might not be exactly what you're asking, but as far as like trends go, going to a lot of events, not to pat us on the back, but Josh has it's a 2017 16 limited Ram 22s and 33s. It's nicely done. He's got some light performance mods, super reliable. I'm kind of in the same boat, almost identical powertrain modifications. So as far as that goes, that's what I see more and more and more of. And there's certainly always going to be those big lifted guys and the super high horsepower guys, but overwhelmingly in the last 3 years, I have seen a drastic shift in the trucks that are at truck shows or out in the parking lot to a very nice middle ground where it's, the truck's maybe leveled, maybe it's got a set of 33s on it, maybe 35s. He's got a couple light performance mods. He can turn the truck up when it's the weekend, and then when it's, commuting on Monday, he's back on tune one, super reliable. We're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, that's truthfully like exactly what I built my truck for. I built it to look good. I built it to sound good. And about most importantly, just be reliable. I want to hop in it. I want to tow my big enclosed trailer, take it on vacations and everything with the family. Just want it to be as reliable as possible. So definitely a lot of that.
I think with that journey that I went on, as far as getting into, I don't want to say the diesel industry back then, but just being an enthusiast, is I kind of honed in on a brand, and that's been my favorite the whole time, which for me, it was Cummins. I have owned other ones, but that has kind of always been my favorite. One of the really cool things that I see you post a lot, Jake, are the short kind of videos, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, where you're talking about an older truck. Like, I think I saw IDIs recently. I've seen some of the other older trucks. And I wanted to ask you guys, as you relate it to FASS, do you guys see this rebirth in older platforms that you might have either not paid attention to, they weren't popular over the years, and then all of a sudden you guys are getting asked for 7.3 stuff or IDIs, or just these things that kind of in my head, I used to think, well, they have a shelf life and then you move on. Like, the LBZs came out, you get rid of your LLY, you get an LBZ. The VP44 trucks are out there, now you go to the common rail stuff. But I see it kind of going backwards now. And I'm curious, from a company standpoint and product development standpoint, do you feel that kind of, I don't want to say pressure, but those requests, those people asking for you to take like technology in 2024 and apply it to their older trucks?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. One of the probably more frequent platforms we get asked about is the OBS Ford, right?
I bug them every day.
Yeah. I mean, all the time people are asking, and I wish it was as easy as, making some small changes to the, 99 and up, 7.3, making some small changes to that kit. But with those having the mechanical lift pump in the valley and the dual fuel tanks, it actually makes it very complicated because the selector valves are very restrictive, right? And just not good for the FASS system and would make it noisy if we tried drawing fuel through them. So there is, a customer can put a single fuel tank in it and use one of our 99 and up 7.3 kits. But so that's a big one we get asked about. And then we actually, about 2-3 years ago, I know we're right on the cutting edge of technology there, but we finally got the GM 6.5 liter kit released. So people were asking about it, and went ahead and we got that kit knocked out. So and it definitely sells. The demand for it was there. Now you don't see a ton of those trucks on the road anymore. Sometimes for good reason, but.
And credit to Josh's team. If you look at our product releases, I wouldn't say it's a 1-to-1 of new models to old models, but it's fairly close. I mean, we released 6.0 and 7.3 Power Stroke just a couple of years ago, and then 6.5 GM Turbo Diesel shortly after that. I don't want to spoil anything. He's got some Detroit stuff in the works that'll be that'll reach pretty far back in their model years. So it as much as we do, you'll see the announcements for 2024 Cummins. We just announced coverage across all of our systems for 2024 Cummins. You'll see the same thing with L5P. We already did Power Stroke and all that. But almost 50-50 of our product releases and updates are split between model year updates and then going back and extending coverage backwards.
Yeah.
Common question we get from you guys a lot is, hey, I need a diesel engine. I either, I can't wait this long to get one, or normal place I get stuff from it just takes too long, or they don't have the parts in it that I need. Maybe my truck's not stock, or I tow heavy with it. I don't want to go back with just a stock engine. DFC Diesel is a sponsor of the podcast. We worked with them, hand in hand on doing episodes, answering technical questions. They have a complete lineup of Cummins, DMAX, and Power Stroke remanufactured engines that are set to a standard of ISO 9001 2015 standards, which is a huge deal in the aftermarket. And there's certain levels of quality testing, validation that are required for that. So when you get one of those engines, the type of quality that's built behind it with an industry-leading warranty that's really comprehensive. And the other thing with that is sometimes the options that are out there, it's a basic OEM engine. You want a little bit more. You don't want to have the same failure again. So there's a bunch of different series of engines that they have, from core, street, tow haul, and also the Speed of Air series, which we've covered on the podcast before. There's a lot of really cool benefits to it. And if you have questions about that, reach out to them. If you don't know the type of engine that you're looking for, if you go to dfcdiesel.com, there's a ton of info there. You can send an email or you can reach out to them. Also, they're working with Speed of Air pistons, which it's the only piston that pays for itself. And there's a lot of really cool technology behind it. So you can add that into your build and be able to get better fuel economy, increase power, increase torque, and better engine life out of it. Some of the most common engine applications or series of engines that they have with that lead time, a lot of them are in stock or they have really short lead times. So you can check your favorite retailer or go to dfcdiesel.com, check them out, see what's in stock, see what you can get. If you have questions, maybe you want to do something that's outside of the normal series of engines, they have tons of choices for rods, cranks, pistons, valve train upgrades, tons of different things. So if you're in the market, definitely make sure and head on over and check them out. What do you guys think what would you attribute it to? Is that interest in older vehicles something that's always been there? Is it more new? I tell you from when I get requests from listeners, they'll ask me to find a company on to talk about some range of truck, and I either can't find somebody, or it's really old information, or it's tough, and then I see 2 people ask, and then I'm up to 10 people asking, and then I really gotta dig in to find somebody who specializes in putting a turbo on this particular year range, like IDI or a 6.2 or something. Yeah. But why would you say is kind of driving this?
Oh man, I think there's quite a few variables, you know. Some people with certain economy situations, maybe holding on to older vehicles where they could have just purchased a newer truck. Maybe they're hanging on to them, trying to save a little money and keep that truck reliable. And then there's always the younger generation that are finally old enough to buy a diesel truck, and they've always seen the hopped up trucks, you know, and we have a new generation of enthusiasts.
Yeah.
I think that plays a fairly good role
I,
in it.
to piggyback on exactly what he said, I think, yeah, you're seeing that split there, you know, especially towards that younger crowd buying, you know, 7.3s and 6.0s and 12 valves and all that. And then, you know, there's also a fair amount of people, you know, that I've seen, I don't know about you, where you know, people are buying these, you know, '07 and newer, they're dealing with a lot of the emission stuff. And they're either selling or buying an additional truck that is pre-emissions, and that's the one that they modify and play with and all that. We do see a fair amount of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this question might maybe be more for Jake because I see it on Instagram and TikTok so much. But do you find getting this information to the younger generation, like how you guys connect with them, is different than say like somebody my age or older than me, where they're finding this information about a new kit or the benefit of, you know, air filtration, water separation through social media? Is that
Yeah.
different?
Yeah, so to answer your question, yes. What might surprise you is, you know, we pretty well, you know, thanks to the insights that the different social media platforms give us, we pretty well understand, you know, who our audience is on all the platforms, and it is remarkably similar across, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You know, a lot of people might assume like, oh, well, the TikTok, you know, that's the 14-year-old kids that don't even own trucks yet. That's who's seeing it. But it's, I mean, it really is. It's people our age. It's, you know, definitely, you know, certain platforms skew younger. But for the most part, you know, everyone is using every platform. And, you know, we've been really lucky that, you know, the content we're putting out both on the engineering side and then of course more on the, you know, the entertainment side of things has been really well received. And I think the common ground for us and our customers is, you know, we love this stuff. You know, we make our paycheck in the diesel industry and then we spend it in the same industry. So that has kind of made it easy to really double down on, you know, content around these, you know, both new trucks and older trucks. We love talking about it.
Do you? I think this question would be more about like kind of in general as enthusiasts. And I guess we can go back a little bit to like that '07 range we were chatting about, Josh, which everybody wanted this truck that
Yeah.
you could go to work with, tow with, and it made 750 horsepower too. And you take it to the track and launch it in 4-wheel drive and have fun with it. And then there was a time, you know, recently where that kind of died off with new trucks. Companies were trying to get emissions testing and certification for different parts they were making, and it really wasn't there. But are you guys excited about the performance aspect of a newer truck with some of the tuning, the compound turbo kits, the injectors, the other hard parts that companies are doing the testing with, where maybe you get some of that back, where you can have a 650 horsepower, 700 horsepower daily driven emissions on brand new truck?
Yeah. I mean, there's some, for instance, I saw a video of Corey from PPEI not too long ago. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it had a drop-in charger on it, and it was just a tuned L5P Duramax, and it was like 650 wheel horsepower or something like that. And that's pretty cool. You know, that's super cool to still be able to drive forward, making some impressive power numbers and being completely, you know, emissions compliant. So I think there definitely is, that market is clearly there.
And there's definitely that misconception of, you know, you have to not have emissions in order to be fast. I think, you know, you go back to 2004, 2005 pre-emissions, and the things people were doing to make 550 horsepower was,
Yeah.
I mean, pretty intense. And now you know, as he said, you have an emissions intact, you know, Duramax or Powerstroke or Cummins, you hit that number all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the huge thing, which we've had in conversations with you guys over this last year, was about the EGR filter and how that as a new product category by itself, it's changing so much. And I don't think as a diesel enthusiast in the crowd we even know how much it's changing it, but that was always one of the things I heard from people, and even myself as a truck with one of those, you know, having that system on it. I'd always look at it and I think, man, it's taking all this exhaust gas and soot and it's pumping it right back over into my intake manifold. And I wish there was something, that I could do to not have to have so much of it go over there. And as things have changed with, kind of the industry, there was really only a couple options that existed. You just lived with it or something else. So what you guys have developed with that is so cool to be able to, I think, give us back what we want as enthusiasts, and it's kind of the reason we buy diesel trucks, right? Is we want the power, we want the torque, we need the towing capacity, the payload capacity, but then we also want it to last as long as it possibly can. And I love how it's just creating its own kind of space in the diesel aftermarket.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. It's a very cool product line that we have been excited about for quite some time.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited to watch it in the future. And so I know people ask questions that I think we had one recently from an episode like last year we did asking about this particular Duramax and this particular truck. So people are paying attention and they're kind of waiting to see. So I encourage people to follow you guys and check out, because you do an excellent job of saying, hey, this is new, it's ready to go. We've got them ready to ship. So I really love that product. And I think it's going to change a lot of that street truck, daily driver performance aspect that people are looking for. Before the podcast, Jake, you mentioned something about events and how you guys are out there all the time. And I don't go to nearly as many as I wish I could.
Sure.
Because I think it's a great way to have your kind of finger on the pulse of not just the racing crowd, but the daily driver crowd. Have you seen a change, or have you seen a shift, or what's it been like all these years that you've been out there on the road? And as you wrap up this, kind of season of being out there, are there some changes that you're noticing or differences?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's some pretty drastic changes that I would respectfully say had to happen with a lot of diesel events. Not all for certain, but this, especially in the last 5 years when I've really been active going to a lot of these diesel events and races and whatnot, truck shows, kind of a mix of trade shows, racing, and then truck shows. The pavement princess stuff, which is what I drive. I'm not saying that disparagingly. The biggest shift I've seen is, these events and these organizers that put these shows on, I could name a few, really solid people that do this. I think they're realizing that these diesel events, particularly the shows and the racing, need to be a little more, they need to be self-contained. Now that cell phones exist and everything that happens in the world goes on social media and, can be shown to the authorities.
Yeah.
The days of having some rowdy event that, at 10 o'clock at night, 2,000 trucks pour out into the town and wreak havoc. And I've been to the after hour stuff. I'm certainly not judging it, but I think those days, for shows to survive, for diesel events to be allowed to thrive and grow, and for that portion of this industry to continue to thrive, we're seeing more and more of these diesel events become very self-contained. Meaning that they're building out. There's a show recently that literally just purchased 85 acres to have the show on. They're getting more and more self-contained and realizing these organizers that people are going to do burnouts. They're going to drag race, whether you condone it or not. It's going to happen. You get a bunch of high horsepower diesel trucks together. It's part of the game. So it's this really cool thing, this evolution, if you will, where these shows are three-dimensional now. It's a truck show plus drag racing plus a burnout competition plus a sled pull plus this plus that. Not that that's necessarily a new concept, but we're seeing it everywhere. And it's really cool because it means everybody has a good time. They do it legally and in a controlled-ish environment.
Yeah, I think that makes a better atmosphere to be able to enjoy it. I know a lot of them are family events too. Like you take your kids and they see it, and you just want to have a good time and have it be kind of a little different, which I have seen or been to some of those like after event kind of things, and they were like, oh wow, this
I'm
is
not
totally
saying
different.
they're not a good time, but
I would never say they're not a good time, but just have a lawyer on standby.
we don't condone it, but we understand.
Well, I'm not sure if these are events, but every fall, the two things that really stand out to me are SEMA and PRI, especially with like new products, new things that are coming out. It kind of preps us all for the next calendar year. Are those how have those changed, if at all? Like, I've never been to SEMA. I haven't been to PRI either. So what I see is mostly social media feedback or doing podcasts or kind of talking with companies. But have those changed over the years as well?
Let's actually, there's some stuff on PRI I'd like to touch on. Some new products we've been working on. We're going to be releasing, I believe, 3 pretty big products at PRI.
Yeah.
So that will be a great event for us this year, as it has been in the past.
Absolutely.
But I'll let you kind of elaborate on
Sure.
how it has changed or
Yeah.
evolved.
Yeah. So obviously, SEMA and PRI collectively, a lot of carryover, in terms of who attends both, for sure. SEMA, I would say the people that run SEMA are wonderful people. I cannot say enough good about the staff that runs the SEMA show. But it has been an interesting couple of years. As some of these OEMs, Ford is a big name that recently stepped away. There's been a couple other OEMs that stepped away from SEMA. And they very much have, still have the performance department. They're not discontinuing performance parts, or aftermarket support, but they are not. Some of these OEMs are not prioritizing it like they were, and maybe that's temporary, maybe it's not, but it certainly has changed the landscape of SEMA. So there's kind of I think there's a lot of mystery around what SEMA is going to look like in the next few years, and we all wish the best for it. It's been a wonderful event for, a lot of people in our industry. PRI, I would say PRI seems, in my experience, healthy as ever. Obviously, being that they are focused on dedicated racing parts, I mean, true competition vehicles, it doesn't seem like there's been as much external pressure, government pressure, on their, attendees and their exhibitors and the people that really thrive going to PRI. So PRI, I mean, is just a phenomenal show. Can't say enough about it. It's wonderful for us, because we're able to connect as fast. We're able to connect with our customers who are making 2,000 horsepower or plan to, as well as, what we see most of, which is guy has a 2006 Duramax and he uses it to tow his race car. He's at PRI for his race car, but while he's there, let me check out FASS Fuel Systems. So PRI is absolutely awesome. If you ever get the chance to go to SEMA, I would 100% do it. But SEMA again has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, PRI is definitely my most favorite show. There's a great variety of pretty much anything in the performance industry. If billet engine blocks everywhere you look, carbon fiber, I mean, complete carbon fiber trucks, and it's a very cool show. Very cool show. A lot of great connections come out of that. Just talk with a lot of good people.
There's so much that trickles down from that racing world and what's happening on the track to the daily drivers, the street trucks that happens. That's always fascinated me about it, and I've always really paid attention to what's happening there, what companies are releasing, what people are saying about it. So I'm looking forward to it this year as well. I did want to ask you guys another question as enthusiasts, and this is because I saw a video Jake did not long ago about the 8-speed Cummins and is GM going to like this bigger Duramax engine. But I wanted to ask about the Cummins stuff because you guys both have them, so I think it's safe to assume you're Cummins guys. Would that change? Like, would you guys go get a new one if it came with an 8-speed auto versus sticking with what they have now?
Man, that's actually a really great question. And I will be completely honest, at least once a week, I Google 2025 Ram 2500 release date, because it has been so very much discussed in the industry on what is going to happen with that platform. Everybody knows they are long overdue to replace the 68 RFE, long overdue for that. The Eisen is fine, but I think there could be most definitely a better option than that. Would I jump on and go buy one? Probably not. I love my truck. Maybe in a couple of years, but I'm very curious. And another thing, and I don't know on like what kind of percentage of failure rates they see, but the roller lifters scare me a bit in the 5th gen engine.
Yeah.
So I know there's solutions out there for it. But I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to go buy a brand new truck, I don't want to have to go in and replace the lifters, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough part with that brand, which it is my favorite brand. But as long as I can remember back, it was always Dodge or Ram kind of lagged behind in the transmission department. So if you were going to keep that relatively stockish truck and you were going to buy a built transmission, you knew the limitations of it, and it lagged behind with the Allison 5-speed. Then they went to the 6-speed, and then they added the 16 RFE, and then Ford and GM are off to the 10-speed stuff. So it was really exciting to think about that. But then, yeah, like you, I come back to the engine itself, especially in the fifth gens, and it's just, I don't know. I think the jury's still kind of out, and I think that's where my eyes wandered a little bit, maybe more so towards the Ford stuff, or the GM trucks. But I was curious what what you guys were thinking as Cummins fans.
Yeah, I think we're both excited
with
unfortunately or fortunately, both our trucks are basically where we want them. So the temptation to get rid of them and increase the payments, like,
Yeah. Maybe when I owe $0 on my truck, I will be more interested in purchasing new. And I guess it just also depends on, I don't daily drive my truck. So it sits in the garage a lot. So maybe if I was driving it every day, racking up a ton of miles, it'd be time for a replacement. But I'll be hanging on to the 4th gen platform for quite some time now.
So as far as new things you guys are doing, we need to tune in to like PRI and around that time frame of some things you guys are releasing. What's for people who have questions, and we've gone really in depth with a lot of different conversations we've had, whether it's with the EGR system, the EGR filter, whether it's with the new kit, how to choose your lift pump, air and fuel, water and fuel, things like that. But I find there's very specific questions people will have that I don't think to ask, or we just don't get to. What is the best way to connect with you guys? Is it better to, like to email to get, is it quicker, easier that way? Is it to call in? What's the best way for people to connect with you guys?
So we try to be everywhere that our customers are. If you want to DM us on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, I can't really DM on YouTube, but anywhere that you want to pop a question off, even live chat on our website, email, phone, my team runs the social media side. So if you DM us on any platform, it's going to be either myself or Eric talking to you. And if you call or email or live chat on our website, you're going to be talking to our service team out in Marthasville, all based right here in Missouri. So we try to just anywhere you could think of to contact us, we're there.
Very cool. I always have a great time chatting with both of you guys. I tell you guys are passionate. You guys own these trucks. You want to be able to get these products to enthusiasts who want them. And diesel's advancing so fast with options, trends, things people want. So it's always a great time chatting with you guys. I'm definitely going to be paying attention over the next few months, see what you guys release. I definitely have my eye on those EGR filter kits and tons of questions people have. So I'm kind of waiting for some of the newer, platforms or different platforms to be supported. But I got a whole list of questions for you guys with that.
Yes,
but I appreciate your time today chatting with me.
Kits are in the works for anybody that's going to ask. They are in the works.
That's the big one. Very cool, guys. Well, I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, very good talking with you again.
All right. Thanks, Patrick.
Don't forget, diesel fans, make sure and head on over to kershaw.kaiusa.com. Use code 40 TDP 2024 to get 40% off MSRP. So if you're looking to get some new gear, save some money for an EDC knife, something for hunting, fishing, around the job site, around the house, they've got you covered with a bunch of different choices for blade steel, blade shape, handle design, opening mechanisms, and their whole lineup's designed to meet a wide variety of budgets. So you'll definitely find something there, and we appreciate them offering that discount code just for Diesel Podcast listeners. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not subscribed, make sure and click the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you're the first to hear about new topics pertaining to emissions, products, reviews, new trucks, tips, a lot of the business topics that we cover. That's the best way to stay up to date on information in the diesel industry. Also want to give a shout out to some of our Patreon supporters, Tyler Loewen of 23 Diesel, J Cole, John, CUTTERUP Rob, Colby, all of our other Patreon supporters, all of you who subscribe on YouTube podcast apps, follow us on social media. We appreciate all your support here in year 8 of the Diesel Podcast and look forward to bringing you more of the content that you want to hear in 2024. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.